Hey, before we start off today's video, I need to give you guys this week's tweet of the week. This week's tweet is brought to you by Spotty Len. They posted a picture of peas that were photoshopped onto a plate upside down, and I can't stop thinking about it. And now you probably won't be able to either. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Allsace. Before we start off today's video, I want to thank all of you so much for all of the love and support that you all showed on the last episode of Not the Power Rangers. I worked really hard on it. It's probably the hardest I've ever worked on a video, and seeing so many people like Squall Charleston and Linkara and Estee give it some love, it really kind of rocked my world for like an entire week. In particular, I really want to thank Squall Charleston for not only retweeting the video, but also just giving me tips on how to do it better. I don't know if you're gonna end up seeing this, Squall, but I really just want to say thank you so much, man. It really helped a lot. Anyways, since the last episode did so well, I figured I might as well post a follow-up to it within the next month, you know? And maybe if the support stays strong on this series, I'll do one once a month. Maybe. Ideally. I don't like commitment. But we'll do one once a month. Ideally, we're gonna do one episode on Not the Power Rangers once a month. And in this episode, I decided we should do a TV series that actually had a crossover with the Power Rangers and exists within the Power Rangers canon.
There was a fifth turtle in the jar with us.
No, not yet. We need to work up to that first. We're gonna talk about Masked Rider. Now, Masked Rider is an American toku based on the Japanese series Kamen Rider Black and Kamen Rider Black RX. And Kamen Rider is arguably one of the most popular tokusatsu television shows ever. Possibly even being more popular than Super Sentai, which is the show that Power Rangers is based on. Kamen Rider has been around in Japan since 1971, but the series that Masked Rider is based on, Kamen Rider Black, aired in 1987. And it was a special one because most tokusatsu series are kind of just one and dones. They're around for about a year, and then the year afterwards you have a whole new Kamen Rider or a whole new team of Sentai. But Kamen Rider Black is one of the special few toku series to have gotten a second season in the form of Black RX. When Saban decided to adapt Kamen Rider in America in 1995, there was no show airing in Japan. Kamen Rider was on a hiatus, so when trying to figure out which show to adapt, Kamen Rider Black makes the most amount of sense, considering how popular it was and the fact that it was the most recent Kamen Rider at that time. A short summary of Kamen Rider Black is that two stepbrothers are kidnapped by a cult called Gorgum on their 19th birthday. The Gorgum perform surgery on the two brothers while they're kidnapped, turning them into cyborgs. They're then brainwashed into believing that they're destined into becoming the next Century King. But there can only be one Century King, meaning that the two are destined to battle each other to the death in order to claim their rightful throne. But before the two are brainwashed, one of the stepbrothers, Kotaro, is able to escape. He then takes on the mantle of Kamen Rider Black and vows to not only protect Japan, but to save his brother, which is a pretty badass show. Again, it's one of the most popular Kamen Riders to date. And Masked Rider is nothing like that at all, not even a little bit. Early American toku is only very loosely based on their Japanese counterpart. So Masked Rider, while being based on Kamen Rider Black, has very little in common with Kamen Rider Black besides his suits and gadgets and like monsters. And of course, just like the last episode of Not the Power Rangers, let's take a look into the first episode of Masked Rider so you can get just a little more of an idea of how the show worked. The show opens up in what I assume to be Mexico. They say it's a planet called Edenoi, but I know Mexico when I see it. All the slaves are working for a bull man to make poisonous gas. It then cuts to the villains, and oh my god, they are so full of 80s cheese. I love it. There's this one dude with a gold mask, and I honestly can't tell if that's the original Japanese actor's mouth or if they just annoying orange the American voice actor's mouth onto the Japanese stock footage. It cuts back to Mexico, and we see the four rebels just staring at the bull man.
You think they spotted us?
No, Farian. The plague soldiers are too busy carrying out Count Dragon's orders.
Huh?
Wait, is that?
That's Furbus. He's the best thing to ever come out of American Toku, hands down. The Bullmen chase after the rebels and Furbus, and then the Bullman fucking kills Furbus.
Now I've got you!
And then we have a pointless cutaway to the villains. It literally adds nothing to the show. I think it's just filler. The rebels are then able to outsmart the Bullman by just sitting under a rock.
This rock should hide us from them.
Where'd they go?
We then cut to the villains making the first monster of the show, which is pretty cool. It's much better than the way they did it in Mystic Knights.
I will dispatch the Destructor Spear immediately. It will assemble to create my most diabolical creature.
After that, we're then brought into the home of the most racially diverse family in television history.
Patsy, it's a big deal. I have something to show you. You make sure that's tied right, Herbie.
Why are we doing this anyway?
Bobby Brigmore's got his eye on her and he's mine. Do what I tell you or I won't let you take me to the movies on Saturday.
Why would he take you to the movies if you just said you wanted to fork Bobby? What does that do for him? Like, taking her out on a date is just more of an inconvenience for him. That's literally not an incentive in the slightest. Now, if you really want to get him to help you, all you gotta do is just... Anyways, we cut back to Furbus. He's fine. Thank God. And the rebels then find the old King of Edenoi, who was overthrown by the villains of the show. He's just sitting there, out in the open. The most important man of the revolution is just standing there, like a fucking NPC in a video game. He then tells Dax, the main rebel, and also his grandson, about how the villains are trying to take over Earth. He then bestows the most sickest threads onto his grandson, which, by the way, is the exact same outfit from the Japanese show, and then sends Dax to defend Earth because, as Prince of Edenoi, he possesses the powers of the Masked Rider. Furbus then runs after him, and can I just say, I love how his head just moves completely independently from his body.
Must be a meteor.
You know, just a meteor. I see those every fucking day. The two then perform their slapstick routine, and it kind of confirms to me that these two are going to end up being like the comedy relief of the show, kind of like how Bulk and Skull were in Power Rangers. Dax then ends up falling in front of the diverse family's home.
Oh, my petunias.
Your petunias? That's the most important thing to you in this situation. A fucking alien landed right in front of your house, and the first thing that comes to your mind is the fucking flower garden. They then take him inside and give him some juice. That's cute.
Hey, you're an orphan like us. Maybe my mom and dad can adopt you too.
Oh, that explains so much. Dax then does some alien shit and just shows them the history of Edenoi through like Japanese stock footage and scenic shots of Mexico. The parents then let Dax spend the night at the house, and the kids tell him that he should watch a bunch of TV because he talks like a literal dumbass. But while they chill on the couch, Dax hears a disturbance.
I hear something. Something is approaching Earth.
Not again.
Twice in one night?
Bugs? Furbus, am I ever glad to see you?
Oh my god, Furbus. I'm so happy to see you. Unfortunately, they can't keep Furbus in the house because of the fact that the dad has some sort of fur allergy.
Kids? Is there an animal in the house?
Why is that the first thing that comes to your mind when you sneeze? Furbus hasn't even been in the house for like 5 seconds and you're already sneezing. Plus, Furbus is like nowhere near the dad. How could he possibly pick up the fur from that far away?
Count Dragon, Destructor Sphere is ready to cut a path of destruction through the city.
What else would it do? It's the destruction spear. That's kind of implied. So Furbus just ends up living under the stairs, I guess. And in the morning, the whole squad just ends up watching anime because that's the best way to learn English. Kind of like how I watched the entire first season of Sailor Moon and picked up the entire Japanese language. They then see an alien attacking downtown on the news, which causes Dax to spring into action as he transforms into the Masked Rider. And that's the first episode of Masked Rider. It ends on a cliffhanger, but the only thing we're actually missing out on in the second episode really is just sort of the fight. And so far, I can say that this was not as good as Mystic Knights. In fact, I expected Mystic Knights to be more like this. This show feels like it doesn't know what it wants to be at all. It's like half 90s sitcom, half sci-fi melodrama, which kind of honestly captures the spirit of Power Rangers perfectly almost. So I guess it's kind of good on that. Would I watch more of this? Probably not. No, I would never, honestly. But I'm sure it's probably like a really fun show, kind of like how MMPR was. I might pop this on in the background once in a while I'm like cleaning my room or something, if it ever shows up on Netflix. But besides that, it didn't really hook me in the same way Mystic Knights did, which is surprising because I see more people talking about this show than I do see people talking about Mystic Knights, which is kind of sad. Anyways, this isn't the only adaptation of Kamen Rider in America. In fact, there's one that's like 10 million times better. So next month, join me as we go over... I'm actually so excited for this because I know for a fact that I love this show. I watched it as a kid and I haven't gone back to it since I was 9, but I'm sure it still holds up. But we'll have to see if it does in the next episode of Not the Power Rangers next month. And hopefully I'll see you then. Bye bye!